Hello and welcome back to my nicheless channel. First of all, I realise I'm incredibly lucky to be in the position to adopt a dog, especially one that is very well behaved and so polite. That being said, I did get a couple of days of the puppy blues. That was sort of before I realised that having a dog still involves a bit of give and take, which I imagine is kind of like having a kid, except to a lesser extent. So before I got her, I had all these rules about where she'd be allowed in the house, and she wouldn't be allowed up on the couch and she wouldn't be allowed up on my bed. In saying that, I think she's very good at realizing when she's allowed on furniture. So this blanket is for her. But yeah, she's only allowed on furniture with invitation. I've had her for just over 2 weeks now. So I've been looking on and off for a dog for probably about a year. And then after I moved out of my place in Melbourne and into a place with a bit of a backyard, I started looking on dog adoption websites properly. So I'd be on there a couple times a week, just trying to get a better idea of like what kind of dog I wanted, what kind of dog would be feasible, what kind of dog I could afford. Because even if you adopt like a cavoodle or something, they're still thousands of dollars. I got her for $300. There were a couple of adoption centres that I messaged and like independent foster carers and stuff. I had to get a good feel for the place and for the people that were looking after these dogs. Yeah, there was a Friday night where I was not feeling great mentally. I was just really upset and unwell and struggling a little bit. I kind of just bit the bullet and I was like, I know having a little friend in the house would make me feel better. Even if she is a pain in the ass sometimes, like her overall presence is making me feel a lot better mentally, especially because she is incredibly goofy. So I get a couple of laughs out of her a day. Yeah, so I ended up going to a local shelter's website. Originally, I was going to apply for one of the staffies that they had. So that adoption centre mostly had staffies and like working dogs like kelpies. And I was always a bit iffy about getting a staffie because I'm not the strongest person in the world. And I have looked after staffies and realised that even though they're really little, they can be incredibly strong. So I wanted to be realistic about my capacity for the benefit of the dog, obviously. I love staffies. I love any dog with a bit of a buff head. But yeah, I think because I have bad shoulders and everything, like it's just easier to get a dog that's not as built, essentially. But yeah, I was looking at one on their website and she was really sweet. She was described as being gentle, really good to walk on lead. So I actually went on the website to apply for this staffy and then Penny popped up and it felt like a sign for me. For a bit of context, I have been looking at greyhounds for a very long time. I had a greyhound as a child and she was the sweetest, dumbest dog. Yeah, and so obviously I'm a bit biased towards that breed now. The other plus side for a greyhound for me was that I really like big dogs, and greyhounds are strong, but they get tired really easily. So while she might pull on a walk, it's not for the whole walk, it's just for like the first 5 minutes and then she settles. But yeah, I really like big dogs, and this is a way of having a big dog that's not gonna pull me around all day, pretty much. I feel like greyhounds are relatively cheap as well. The only grooming she really needs is like a bit of a hose down, her nails trimmed, that kind of thing. Like I don't need to book in to get a haircut or anything. Like she's gonna be a cheap dog to look after. Like aside from her food, she doesn't really have big expenses, and her food's only expensive because I feed her better quality food than what I feed myself. Anyway, back to adopting her. She did pop up on the adoption website. I think I eyed her off for a couple of hours and like really thought about what I was doing before I put an application in. I applied for her a little bit on a whim because I was feeling unwell, but she is by far the best semi-impulse purchase ever. She's only been here for a few weeks, but I already think that we've bonded, and she's a brilliant dog. Basically what happened next was the adoption centre set up a meet and greet. This was like, I think a week later, or like a week and a bit later, I actually got to meet Penny for the first time. Initially, she didn't want much to do with me because she's toilet trained. She basically just spent the first half of the meet and greet going to the toilet, which was a good sign for me. Obviously, I was prepared to put in a lot of hard work, but she is already well trained. Anyway, she eventually came over for a little head scratch, and yeah, she was very distracted because this adoption center is on a pretty busy road, so there were a lot of smells and a lot of noises and everything when I met her. But yeah, she eventually came around for a bit of an ear scratch, which was nice. When we tried to get her into the car, it was the easiest I think I've ever seen a dog get into a car. She just jumped on the back seat and sat down immediately. Actually, she laid down immediately and was just like, cool, where are we going? What's up? Didn't seem to faze her whatsoever. Yeah, so on the way home, I went to a pet shop to get everything for her because I wasn't sure how big she was and like what food I wanted to get her, all that kind of thing. To be expected, she did sleep for the first 3 days, and I just thought I had the most well-behaved dog in the world. Day 4 came along and she started to bark. Even in the couple of weeks I've had her, she has already stopped barking a lot. So she used to bark when people would walk past our house, and when I mean bark, I mean she would go crazy, she wouldn't stop barking. Yeah, we've done a bit of training and she is already doing a lot better at that. She barks at me if I'm late for dinner or late for a walk, but like that's fine. Yeah, when she barks now at stuff, it's just like one and done, which I think is good. Like, she's doing her job, she's letting me know that something's there, but she's not going crazy about it, you know? She does have a bit of separation anxiety, so when I go and visit Melbourne or go and visit family and stuff, like I am going to need a dog sitter, at least for the first little bit. I did leave her alone for 20 minutes today, and all she did was cry, I think, for the first 5 minutes, and then ate some peanut butter out of her Kong and then went to sleep. So I think she's going to be fine. It's just going to take time, which I was prepared for. I didn't realize how hard it was to find a dog sitter though, so that's been a bit frustrating, but yeah, it'll be fine. Like, I'll figure it out. Otherwise, she is beautiful on walks. I do walk her in a harness that I got from Gumtree Greys, which I'll put on the screen. It is hard to find a jacket for her, so I have ordered one online and it arrived, and it's a tiny bit small on her bum. Hopefully, like next year, I can get her a really warm fuzzy one. I just haven't done it this year yet because we're about to go into like spring, summertime in Australia. So she does sleep in the jacket though, so like I think it's comfortable enough for her for the time being. She's very on guard around other dogs, and if they get too close to her or bark or lunge or anything like that, she has a go at them. So I've also ordered a muzzle just in case, because where I walk her is actually pretty busy with other dogs as well. At home, I think she's been pretty comfortable. I think it only took 3 days for her to do her first round of zoomies and her first roach, which was insane. Like, I was not expecting that so soon. Yeah, she knows how to sit in her bed for snacks, and she does know to come when cold as well. Like I mentioned, she was already fully toilet trained, so I'll take her out on a schedule, but if she needs to go in between that schedule, she'll just cry at the door. She waits patiently while I put her harness on, and then we go out, she goes to the toilet, we come back in, and then she settles again. So like she knows how it works. For the past couple of weeks, there have been no accidents in the house whatsoever. I did already get the puppy blues really bad on grand final day. Usually I spend that day with my family and we eat a lot of really good food, and I couldn't go because her separation anxiety was awful. I was like, oh, I'm missing out on this event. I'm gonna miss out on so much. What have I done? Was getting a dog a big mistake? But yeah, I had this whole thing, and then I spoke to some friends about it and they were all like, yeah, I had that with my dog. It'll pass. Again, a lot of videos online were like, yeah, I had puppy blues with the rescue. And it ended up passing. Like, you'll get through it essentially, and I have. As far as the rest of the year, I only have a few other major events that I like absolutely have to go to, and it's like a friend's hen's night and her wedding. This is my friend that I've been besties with for like 10 years, maybe 11, maybe 12. So I can't, like, there's no way I'm missing her. I'm not missing any part of her wedding. Any part of the celebration, I'm there. So I have looked into a couple of dog sitters and like that ball's rolling, but I've also got family that I'm trying to figure out if they can watch her as well. New Year's, I probably have to be home because of all the fireworks. So maybe I'll host a little thing at my house. I don't know. Basically the plan is to use separation anxiety training and dog sitting in tandem. Hello! If you're dealing with puppy blues, as harsh as this may sound, you'll basically get over it. The affection that you get from your dog is incomparable to anything, especially if they're a rescue. Seeing them come out of their shell makes it all worth it. She's in a play, she's gonna play. She's playing! Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, this makes it all worth it. Wasn't interested in toys at the shelter, and now I'm getting to see her come out of her shell and enjoy like a squeaky toy. Very good timing, Penny. That's my update as to why I've been a bit MIA. I also decided to adopt her in the last week of my masters. So it was a very stressful few weeks, and honestly, I'm still decompressing from the past few weeks. So yeah, it's been a lot, but a lot. Very grateful to have a full plate. You've come back. Any final words? No? Life has just been busy, but in a good way. So yeah, see you soon, hopefully.